कल हमने यूज़ पे किया ना वो अलग है यूज़ इन्हें खबर है बटे यूज़ पे तो सही अगर उन्हें प्लस करने ना तो बेस्ट मार्केट हम करो तो टूल लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग यही तो है जाम यूट्यूबर्स बने तो ये यूज़ करें या फास्ट होता है ना थोड़ा स्लो पे स्पीड देखा है कि स्लो है बिटरेट Hey everyone, this is me Vishal and today we'll learn how the internet works from freecodecamp. Hmm? Yeah, let's learn together. No, here ना ये बजा 20 minutes में यहाँ बजा दूँगा ओ desktop
themselves. They cannot communicate.
let me close this yeah perfect it is working perfectly fine let's start now. So I've already watched 10 minutes already 10 minutes in which I learned about LAN local area network. If you don't know about it, let me give you a brief about it. It is basically connecting computers in a specific area like in an office or in a house, and it is done using a switch. Switch is a device in which we connect the computers using cables, copper cables or fiber cables. Fiber cables are much faster. And when we connect all the computers to the switch, then what? Then computers can communicate with each other or share information between them. So that is basically creating a local area network between computers, PCs. It is restricted because all the computers are connected with the switch. It is wired. It can also be done wireless using access point, which we'll learn later. Let's now start with second one.
In an office, and how do we create a network? Talked about how to connect. See you guys soon.
I don't wait for greatness, I make time for it.
See you guys soon. Bye.
This is tutorial 2.
In our previous lesson, we briefly talked about how to connect computers in an office and how do we create a network. And I said that we can create a LAN with the help of a switch device. But the problem is, currently these computers can only communicate among themselves. They cannot communicate with the internet because the only task of the switch is to create a LAN and enable the communication of the devices in the same LAN. Great. And by the way, I would like to remove this LAN statement from the visual because you can understand that there is a LAN here. Thus, we can work more comfortably. Wonderful. And the main question is, how do we connect these computers to the internet? And this is where the router device comes into play. Let me explain. The main task of the router is to enable computers to connect to the internet. Without a router, it is impossible for us to connect to the internet. And in order to provide this connection, in order to provide a connection to the internet, first of all, we must connect this switch to this router. And this cable is a copper cable just like other cables. This is good, but currently, what we have to do isn't over. We still can't connect to the internet in this situation because we need a connection between the router and the internet as well. And as you know, a special cable comes to our homes or offices, and this cable is given us by internet service provider. And thanks to this cable, we connect to the internet. If you have never heard of internet service provider, don't worry, we will talk about it in detail. But for now, all you need to know is the internet service provider is giving us this cable for a certain amount of money so that we can connect to the internet easily. Okay? So currently, we have everything necessary to connect to the internet by using these computers. Hence, let's see the basic tasks of the switch and the router one by one on the animation. These 7 computers in the office can communicate with each other thanks to the switch. For example, let's say PC1 wants to communicate with PC5. For this purpose, PC1 will send a packet to the PC5. So, as you know, the packet firstly goes to the switch, and afterward, the switch learns the destination of the packet, and finally, the switch sends the packet to its destination, and there we go. This is how 2 computers in the same LAN communicate with each other. And please always remember, a switch device is enough for us in order for communication of devices in the same LAN. On the other hand, a router has no role in the communication of different devices in the same LAN like PC1 and PC5. This is very vital, okay? I hope I could explain the event. And
Okay, this was great. We learned about a new thing, router, which connects us to the internet, which is a very compulsory part of our life to be connected with internet. And it also introduced to a term data packet. So packet is basically any information or data we are sending from one PC to another using switch, and switch helps us. We send, like PC1 wants to send some data to the PC5, we send from PC1 to switch, and switch sends that packet to PC5. That's how it travels. Let's learn.
however guys, what if PC1 wants to communicate with the internet? In other words, what will happen if PC1 wants to send a packet to the internet? Let's see. First of all, you should remember this information. If a computer can send packets to the internet, this means that this computer communicates with the internet. Frankly speaking, I believe that you exactly understand the logic of this event anymore. If we can send packets from one point to another point, these 2 points can communicate. It's that simple. But the question is, how will PC1 send packets to the internet? To be able to do this, first, PC1 must send its packet to the switch just like before, because there is no other way for PC1 to be able to reach the router, right? I mean, if PC1 wants to send a packet to the internet, this packet must reach the router no matter what, because the router is a door to access the internet. This is obvious. Hence, if PC1 wants to communicate with the router, it must send its packet to the switch first. After that, the switch looks at inside of the packet and understands that the packet wants to go to the internet. So, it sends the packet to the router, and there we go. And then, the router firstly looks at the inside of the packet and understands that the packet wants to go to the internet. And afterward, it sends the packet to the internet over this port. And there we go. By the way, if you are aware, we have plugged this cable that we purchased from the ISP into this port. This is obvious. I believe that currently you can easily imagine in an intuitive manner how the cables coming to the router like this or like this are plugged into the ports. I mean, there are some ports on the router and you need to put the cables into that ports. It's that simple. I will not show this visually because detailed information about the ports isn't important for you at this moment. You just must understand the logic behind the router, okay? And as a result, PC1 sent its packet to the internet. In other words, PC1 and the internet communicated. And the device that helps us to connect to the internet is the router. Wonderful. I believe that you understand the most basic tasks of the switch and the router, and I hope the animations have been useful for better understanding. However,
Okay, this was cool. Router helps us connect to the internet first and also lets us share information between internet. Each packet contains data that where exactly is it supposed to go. Like if PC1 wants to send data to PC5, the packet has some information about PC5 that it wants to go to PC5. If it wants to go to the internet, its data according to that it wants to go to the internet.
I want to ask you two questions. My first question is, can you visualize the internet in your mind? And the second question is, what exactly does the internet mean? And these will be the questions that we are going to discuss in the next lessons. See you guys soon.
Dara 77 Super Savings Sale. Real savings start here.
डालडा कॉर्न ऑयल सिर्फ हेल्दी नहीं हार्ट हेल्दी जहां ममता वहां डालडा
Next lesson. And these the second question, can you visualize the internet in your mind?
How would I visualize the internet in my mind? Internet is just virtual thing. Yeah. Connection of the whole world online, yeah.
And the second question is, what exactly does the internet mean?
What exactly does the internet mean? You guys can also share your options, share your answers. What exactly does the internet mean? Mm, Internet, network, network of all the devices to communicate with each other, share information, which we can see from anywhere around the world. Okay, we are gonna end it here. We are gonna be learning more in the next stream. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It was amazing to be introduced with router. We learned about router.